One thing I get often, actually, from clients that I'm working with is just who the heck am I going to talk to and how am I going to talk to them? Because I think oftentimes we think that we have to be influencer-like in order to land sales and in order to be content creators when that's just not true. Y'all, welcome back to another episode of Spill the Brand. If you're new here, I'm Sam, the branding coach, and we're diving into building your business and making sure that your brand is the obvious choice. Today, we are getting into brand personality and tone. This is actually a big one, but before we do, I just want to say hi. How are you? How has your homework been going? Because I'm very curious as to, did you develop your ideal customer persona? Did you do your other homework? Have you been following up? Because my DMs are kind of dry. Like what? Like let's talk about it. Only because I really want this homework to be something that y'all divulge in, because it's actually really essential to your business. Branding is much more of a long game than we think. One quick little story. I was listening to an episode, Alex Hermosi, and he was talking about content that converts. One thing about content that converts was he was talking about how Kim Kardashian has been in the beauty space forever. And recently, I don't know if y'all follow her or not, in the past couple of years, she opened a venture fund. It was called Sky Ventures. And I believe in December of last year, she actually exited her venture fund. Why? Because her brand has been built around beauty. Not saying that you can't change it, but it takes a lot more time to be known for something when you've been known for one thing for a very long time. So she's been known for beauty for a long time and trying to enter into, business. Now that's changed. But that's beside the point, and just a little tidbit aside from this episode. Now I really want to dive. One thing I get often, actually, from clients that I'm working with is just who the heck am I going to talk to and how am I going to talk to them? Because I think oftentimes we think that we have to be influencer-like in order to land sales and in order to be content creators, when that's just not true. Being a business owner means that you do have to be your own marketer, you do have to be your own salesperson, and you do have to build a brand and create content that matches your brand. All of that takes work, and it takes vulnerability, and it takes growing your skills. But the big thing about when you're creating content and when you're building a brand, you want it to be consistent with how you're talking. People don't buy products from people that they think are perfect. They buy products from people who they think are real. And so whether or not you want to be professional, funny, humble, goofy, whatever tone you want to approach when it comes to building your business and your brand, you want to define what that looks like for you. So today we're focusing on what makes your brand, how to be consistent with your brand, what kind of tone you should go for, and how to make people feel like you're already inside their head when they're just finding your page. Let's get into it. Okay, so your brand voice is basically the consistent voice that goes across all platforms, across everything that you do. So, example, Kim Kardashian again, actually. If you guys have ever watched how she talks to her audience, she actually addresses them as, hey guys, a lot of YouTubers, artists, content creators, they do end up talking to their audience a certain way, and whether that be something like a nickname. From that point of view, let's think about if you're talking to your audience, how do you want to address them? My whole family's from the Midwest. I'm not specifically, but I like to address people as y'all, just because it's more of the tone that makes it really friendly to me. I love going to the South and the East Coast because everyone's really friendly and has a very friendly tone. And I want to be that kind of person online. I want to be that person that's just like, what's up, y'all? Welcome in. So you guys see me address you like that. You have to figure out how you want to address your audience. I'm going to look at my notes for a quick second because I did make a few for y'all. Because your brand can be anything that you want it to be. It does not have to be just one thing. Truly. You get to be funny. You get to be cheeky. You get to be calm and reassuring. You get to be professional. Whatever it is, your brand is personal and intentional, built for you. So you have to define what that looks like as you're talking to your audience, because there's really no true right or wrong answer. It's just entirely dependent on what kind of brand that you want to build. So it's not coffee today, but it's water. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm a little congested today, but we're making things happen. So why does having a brand voice matter? So it's the thing that makes people stop and say, oh my gosh, this person gets me. Whether it be the tone of voice or the consistency, You have to choose the thing that really brings people in. And one thing that you can go notice about your favorite comfort creator, content creator, or business owner, entrepreneur, whoever it is that you follow, something about them makes you keep going. For example, for me, Alex Hormozi is one of my favorite creators and entrepreneurs, just because simply he talks about business in a real way. He does not make any fluffy comments. He's literally super direct. And a lot of people, for lack of better words, don't like him and how he approaches business, which he is a male-dominated audience, but he has really good business tips. He's been doing this for a very long time. And knowing how he started out as a fitness creator, moved into business acquisitions, this is one of the things that has made his brand notable. And so he's very consistent with how he shows up on content. And so is his wife, Layla Hormozi. She is definitely very consistent. So their tone of voice, how they talk, how they show up for you is the exact same way every single time, so that you're not second guessing who it is that you're watching. Because he made a very good point in this exact podcast. He said, if he started representing a fashion brand, which if you know Alex Hormozi, he's not a fashion icon by any means, doesn't really have a well-kept beard. No offense to Alex Hormozi, he knows this about himself. Dresses in gym clothes, does all the things. And so he knows that if he represented a fashion brand, people would be like, what? Like, that is not on brand for you at all. Because that's not something he shows up as. That's not the consistency of his brand. So a lot of brand tone and voice comes down to the fact of how are you talking to your audience? How are you showing up for them? Because that's what makes a brand, right? So that's why I want you to think about the voice that you use is the thing that is going to make people trust you. It is a thing that having a clear voice, people are going to feel like they're hearing from the same person every single time. And that is what builds credibility. So please keep that in mind. I had a whole plan for y'all today where I was going to use my whiteboard and I realized I packed it. So I'm really sorry. But we're going to get into the steps of how to build your own brand voice and the key things that you can do to build this out. So let's get into it. Okay. So I have some notes for y'all. Again, I just want to make sure that you know I'm paying attention to you. I also have some notes down here. Okay, so your voice should be the intersection between your personality and what your audience needs to hear from you. Let me say that one more time a little bit slower. Your voice should be the intersection between your personality and what your audience needs to hear from you. So here's what I want you to do. I need you to ask yourself, how will you naturally communicate? Because I remember this. One of a very good friend of my life was watching one of my videos and they were like, this doesn't really sound like you. And this was at the beginning of my content phases, trying to show up online. And I was like, it's okay. I know, I'll get there. Like, I don't really know how I want to show up online yet. Eventually, I found the voice. But these are the questions that you can ask yourself in order to find it. So are you direct and bold, playful and casual? Are you calm and nurturing, edgy and outgoing? So there's lots of different combinations that you can have because you can be playful and bold. You can be casual and direct. You can mix and match these, but you have to think about how you honestly act naturally, because if you try to put on a persona, it's going to be exhausting. When you figure out how it is that you talk to people and how you really want to talk to them, it is going to make a difference. I promise you. But more importantly, you just want to be yourself. And I mean this in the sense that the more you talk like yourself, easier it will get and not feel so exhausting to be there. So that's step one. Step two, ask what tone does your audience respond to? So this is where I like to call it, for the sake of TV, the F it period. The F it period is something I like to tell my clients that for a good period of time, as you're starting to build a brand and or go through a rebrand, what you should always be doing is going through your analytics. Data, 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 super important. So you need to see what kind of voice tone people like, whether it's calm, whether it's direct, super playful, where you're laughing, where you're professional. These are the things where it's not changing who you are, but you're just making sure your energy meets them where they're at, because sometimes we don't want to go overboard. But if you are that person who's unhinged and wants to be overboard, do it. Because the people who like that will follow you, but find the thing that works for you. Knowing your dream client. So this is why it's important to go back to episode 3. This is where you can ask your audience, like, do I need to be a hype girl? Do I need to be more professional? So knowing your ideal audience is definitely key here. That's step 2. Let's go into step 3. Step 3 is pick 3 words that define your brand voice. So mine, for example, are real, empowering, and super direct. Like, I don't want to gatekeep. I don't want to be anything else other than myself, but I do want to empower you and encourage you to do the thing that you absolutely love. whether that be a content creator, selling your business, advertising yourself, whatever it is, I really want to be there for you. So for you, I want you to think about what your business is. Like, do you not sugarcoat? Do you want to be direct? Do you want to be a little bit fluffy? Do you really want to be a salesperson? Whatever it is, the 3 words that I want you to write down are the things that describe you. And a lot of this can come from values work. So what are your values in your business? We're going to get into that in a different episode. But that's something else that's very important because your values matter in your business. And so that's where you can kind of tinker with them as well as thinking about 3 words that define your brand voice. So what are yours? This is part of your homework. So you better be doing this one because writing these down is definitely essential. So part 4, apply your voice absolutely everywhere. This means every single platform, every single piece of content that you're creating, it is consistent. It is not just in your captions, you use it in your bio, how you answer emails, your lead magnets, your sales page, and even honestly in your DMs. If you're trying to say that your brand is bold, honest, and there's no BS, fantastic. I love that for you. But make sure that that's consistent as you carry yourself. And there's nothing wrong with carrying yourself through everything that you do. I remember someone had said, it's laughable that you talk the way that you send emails. Well, yeah, because we're not in college or high school anymore to where we have to send it a certain way. I want to send it the way that I'm going to send it. Granted, it'll still be professional, but I'm going to still talk the way that I talk. And that is being friendly and honest and whatnot. So this means, let me give you some examples because I wrote some down for y'all. In per se a caption, if you are thinking about bold, honest, and no BS. If this was the wrong type of caption, it'd be coaching spots open. Let me know if you're interested. See, it's a little bit like indirect. It's a little bit more like casual versus caption B would be, do you want to stop playing small? My one-to-one coaching spots are open for the ones who are done dabbling and ready to dominate. Granted, this sounds like a little ChatGPT-ish, so forgive me, but more so being that you're addressing and connecting with your audience. One thing that is definitely happening right now and is shifting in Instagram is that connection over sales. You need to be connecting with your community, building and engaging with them. It is not about closing them as a sale. It really is taking a lot longer with consumer behavior, closing sales, and there's a lot going on in the world right now. But that is really big on Instagram right now. They're shifting the way that they are flagging inauthentic content, like quote unquote inauthentic content, right? They want people to be more engaged rather than just be like, comment this word below and I'll send you this. They're actually going to start flagging people for doing that. So in hindsight, I do want you to focus and be open about what's happening on Instagram and how you can change that and adjust that for your business. Okay, y'all. So for the fun part of your homework, because you know I'm not missing a beat on giving y'all homework every single week because homework is important and the only way that you're going to build your brand is by doing these very things. So step 1, you need to choose 3 brand voice words. So playful, honest, no BS, whatever it is, I need y'all to, is it cheeky, is it professional, whatever, again, whatever it is, I need y'all to find that balance, find the thing that makes sense to you. So 2, write out 3 social media captions in your voice. If you need help revising, you know where my DMs are at Sam the Branding Coach. I'm literally always here for you. But this is definitely important because if you can write out 3 captions in your voice, maybe even pop them in a ChatGPT. I think I'm going to do an episode, like a whole episode on ChatGPT and how to brand a ChatGPT because when you do that, you save a lot of time. But this is really something I want y'all to focus on because it really matters. And I think it makes a difference when you start to see how you're talking to people and how you're connecting with people. For me, I love someone who's in my industry, Julia Broom. She is great at looking at being authentic in her caption. So I love to use her as an example. And I definitely don't copy. I just am like, that tone is super friendly and super honest. So think about some creators that are either in your industry or in your space that you can go look at for a model. Bonus points. If you do post this and tag me and or you DM me, I'm happy again to review. I really truly love seeing what you guys are coming up with. And it is meant to be a journey building a brand. So there's nothing wrong with however long it takes you to get there. Brand voice seems like it may not be the most important thing in the world, but it actually is. How you address people and how you talk to people really actually matters when it comes to, great. If we figure out your tone and your voice, then it aligns with your messaging and then we carry out your brands in many different aspects. So it's more important than you think. So do your homework. Next week, we're going to dive into such an amazing topic, and I cannot wait. We're hopping into content pillars. And content pillars are actually going to be the thing that wraps everything up together, brings it all in, and we're just going to continue to start building your brand. Whatever it is, y'all, it is a beautiful time to enter into Q2 with a wonderful, stable brand. So do your homework, message me if you need me, and thank you so much for watching another episode of Spill the Brand.
Thanks for tuning in to Spill the Brand. Keep brewing your creativity and strategy until our next coffee date. See you then.